Hi everyone, I'm Nicole Guillaume with Guiding Echoes, the channel that allows you to discover the wisdom of your soul. Today I am answering a question that I receive nearly every single day, and that question is, if I open up my psychic mediumship abilities, will that attract negative entities to me? That is an interesting question, and to be honest, that is a fear that I had when I first started opening up my psychic ability, so I totally understand the concern. So let me start by saying this. Whether or not you attract evil entities is really kind of up to you. It depends on where you're putting your attention and what type of situations you put yourself into. However, opening up your psychic senses is not what will attract anything to you, good or bad. You're simply opening up your senses. So the best way I can describe it is like this. Let's say that your eyesight is terrible. It is just awful. Maybe you're nearsighted and you can only see things that are this far away from you, right? Anything past this point, you can't see. You just can't see it. So you opt to get laser surgery, and what does that do? It fixes your eyesight so you can see things a lot further out, right? You can see things out in the distance. So let me ask you this. Let's say that you go to a parking lot and you happen to witness a crime, right? We won't get into what the crime is, it doesn't matter, but you happen to witness a crime. Did you attract that situation because your eyesight got better? Or were you simply able to see it because your eyesight was better? I would say it is the latter. I'd say you were simply able to see it because you had that eyesight, right? If you hadn't had your eyesight fixed and you were still only able to see things this close, you wouldn't have seen the crime take place. But you still would have been in the vicinity. And that's how energy works. So there are a lot of people walking around, a lot of muggles, right? And there's negative energies all around them. Whether these negative energies come in the form of spirit, residual energy, or people, because we all know people who can be pretty negative. They don't sense it. They don't feel it. They're unaware of it. So it doesn't really affect them. But if they were to start to open up their psychic senses, if they were to open up their clairvoyance, their clairsentience, maybe even their clairaudience, they would start to sense the presence of all energies. So they would be able to feel when something's negative. They would be able to feel when there's something positive. So it's not that opening up these abilities is what attracts anything to you. It's just that you're able to feel what's already been around you, right? So the way that you actually attract different spirits is really by putting the invitation out there. So that's why you want to be very mindful with your intention. So for me as a medium, I want to connect with spirits on the other side who are benevolent, who are loving, who are caring, who are kind, who are compassionate, who are funny. I feel like I'm basically describing myself right now, but anyways, I want to be sure that the type of people on the other side that come to me are those who are nice, are those who are safe, right? I want to be sure that I am safe. That said, every once in a while, there is a scraggler that gets through. There is a client I'll have who wants to connect with someone on the other side who maybe isn't benevolent, who maybe was actually pretty mean when they were alive, and guess what? Still not very nice on the other side. So every once in a while, I do get less than nice people who come through because that's who my client needs to connect with for whatever reason. They need to connect with someone on the other side who may not have been very nice. And on top of that, there are times when I've put myself in situations where I could have very easily attracted something negative. So for example, when you go to a place that you know is haunted, you need to set the intentions that you are not going to be touched, that you don't want anything touching you, like nothing's allowed to attach to you. You be sure that you call forth the spirit of the divine, its protection. You ask for your angels to be all around you, and you make sure that your protections are up. Because if you don't, if you walk into a place without any protection, and you know it's extremely haunted, typically in haunted areas, There are spirits there who can be angry. There are spirits there that can maybe be demonic or can be evil. It's rare, just so you guys know, it's very rare. You're most likely to run into earthbounds that are angry, that are grieving, that don't understand that they're no longer alive. So those are most likely the energies that you'll run into. It's very rare to run into something that is pure evil. But again, if you're going to a place that is haunted and you know it's haunted and you know what type of paranormal activity takes place there, you could very well be opening yourself up to something evil. The other thing to keep in mind is that what we allow into our awareness is very important. So even if you're not going to an area that's haunted, if you end up watching a lot of horror movies or you're watching things that are violent, just keep in mind that the spirit you give your attention to will in turn give its attention to you. So if you're watching things that are not on the up and up, that are not positive, that are not life-affirming, loving, or positive in some type of way, if you're watching the opposite of that, those things watch you. That's kind of creepy. So if you watch a lot of horror movies, if you watch scary movies and you notice that you start to feel creeped out at night, or you notice that you get weird visions, it's very possible that you open the door just by watching those type of movies, because you do tap into things that are darker. You are showing an interest in things that are darker when you watch those movies. And I mean, to be fair, I know that there's people watching this right now who are like, well, I watch dark movies all the time and I'm a psychic medium and I've never had a problem with that. That's great. That's wonderful. Consider yourself the exception. For most people, their subconscious mind starts to hold on to those messages and repeats those over and over again. And remember, spirit speaks to us on a level of thought, on a level of consciousness. So whatever we think about is what we attract. It's not just necessarily what we speak or what we say, it's also what we think about. So if you're replaying images from scary movies over and over again, or you're recalling the scariest paranormal investigation you've seen on TV, or whatever the case is, if your thoughts are on things that are darker, then darker things are going to notice that, because you're putting out that signal, you're putting out that beacon, and they're going to come to you. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why people who write horror novels like Stephen King suffer from depression, because they are channeling something dark. And so while their stories may be fantastic, while they may be best-selling authors, I believe that they struggle with depression and with mood disorders and with thoughts of suicide and whatnot, because look at what they're channeling. Look at what they're tapping into when they write these stories. So if you want to open up your psychic mediumship abilities, then you want to be sure you play it safe. You want to be sure that you are calling on angels, that you are setting the intention that you will connect with only beings of light and beings that are benevolent and loving, like I mentioned earlier. You want to be sure that you are setting that intention to connect with spirits that are safe. Okay, and again, that doesn't mean that every once in a while you won't sense something negative. You won't sense someone in spirit that's angry or whatever. Just means that you're not going to run into them as much. And if they do come in, honestly, guys, they're not an issue. Like I've had issues with spirits that have come forward and they're not nice. You know, they'll say that. I've had a few that said horrible things to me, and I was just kind of like, excuse you? Like, what makes you think you can say that to me? And what makes you think that I'm going to allow that, right? So when that happens, I basically tell them to F off, and I'll call on my angels. I'll bring my angels in, and I've seen in my mind's eye angels drag those spirits away from me if they're getting out of hand. So you're always protected. You always have the ability to protect yourself. And at the same time, just like you wouldn't walk through a dark alley in the middle of the night in a bad area, you don't want to open up your psychic abilities and go to a spiritually dark area. That is asking for trouble. Even if you have your protectors on, right? Like if you're walking through a dark alley and you have pepper spray, you can still have people come at you and they can still do some damage, right? The same thing can happen in very haunted areas. You can have your protectors up, but you can still end up getting, scratched or something, something can still happen. So just play it safe, right? If you're afraid of that type of situation, just stay away from it. Just stay away from it. But know that opening up your psychic abilities, again, is not what attracts evil towards you. It's not what attracts negativity towards you. Your thoughts, your mind, what you place your attention on, the words you speak is what attracts your experience. All right. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers your question. And if you'd like to learn more about psychic mediumship, I have so many different videos available on that topic, and so be sure that you check them out. I will have a link to those videos in the description down below. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I'd like to welcome you to the Guiding Echoes community, and I'd also like to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Also be sure that you hit that little bell icon so you can be notified when I release new videos in the future. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.